Welcome everyone to Axanar Confidential, Episode 2. This is Alec Peters. Thank you for joining me tonight. Pretty excited. Last week, thank you guys.
Welcome to Axanar Confidential.
And last week we had some technical issues, which we appreciate you sitting through. And we've been working on everything technically. I increased the I'm sorry, hold on one second. There we go. I increased the amount of internet the pipe coming into my house has. I went from 50 up and 50 down to 1,000 up and 1,000 down. So we were hoping that was going to cure a lot of problems. Of course, you don't get 1,000 up, 1,000 down. We got like 250 up, 250 down right now. But significant improvement. And then we just changed to, and I'll let's see if I can just do this here. I'm going to show you there. There's our new computer. That is the old Axanar editing computer. It's a 2013 Mac Pro, and which is pretty awesome. And I know it looks like a garbage can. And anyway, that is sitting now in here in my collecting room at Casa Peters. And we hooked it up. I have a brand new monitor, a brand new camera, thanks to J.P. Poole, who was our guest on Real Trek on Friday. J.P. Poole recommended this this internet camera. And so we got that, and I've got a new keyboard and a new mouse. And then this afternoon we found out for some reason the Bluetooth is disabled on this. So which is meaningless because it just means I have to have a cord attached to my to the keyboard and the mouse. But all good. So we're really excited about this episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's see, we got 121 fans out there right now watching us. So thank you very much. I see and I see the comments flowing in already. So thank you very much. Want to welcome Trey McElwain. He's Axanar Comics there. Trey is one of our biggest fans, a super guy, a vet tech. So he, as many of you know, I'm big into dog rescue. So Trey is a veterinarian technician. And I hope I'm saying that's right, Trey. So really respect him for what he does. So we trade dog stories and pet stories and everything. And I got to meet him and his wife Renee, and they're awesome and just great people. So he's doing Axanar Comics, which you need to follow because it's awesome. As a matter of fact, Jonathan Lane is now doing an Axanar comic. I got someone else doing an Axanar comic. It's so awesome that we have fan fiction of Star Trek fan fiction, right? How cool is that? So Adega Outlaw, thank you. You're a regular. We appreciate you showing up again. Bob Spiegel says, "Hail Doomcock." A bunch of you told me to get in touch with Doomcock. I've been so buried, I have not had time. I'll try and remember to. If anyone has an email for him, pass it on to me. If you ever want to reach me, I'm on Facebook all the time, so you guys can definitely get a hold of me there. Or you can always email me, alec@axanarproductions.com. Mark Payton is in the house. Thank you, Mark. Mark is one of our... Mark also has done some amazing artwork for Axanar. He's done some great pencil sketches of Richard as Karn and JG as both Martok and Sam Travis. He did some animated Axanar work for us. Just all around awesome guy. Thank you for joining us. So that's awesome. As I'm looking at chomping at the Star Trek, but yep, so are we. Yeah, listen. Also, Axanar Confidential. Listen, let's minimize the Discovery bashing here. Okay, we all have our problems with it. I think, or some of us have problems with it. Some of us don't. Hey, listen, it's Star Trek. We should, all be. Let's try and be as positive as possible here. Oh wow! And already, Taras Lataki gives a $2 super chat, so thank you very much. Hey, listen, when you guys give us super chat money, and thank you for doing so, please ask a question, right? Because that's kind of what it's for. It's for you to get noticed, not just to donate to us, but get noticed and ask a question. Zooboy001 is in New Zealand. Hey, live long and prosper, man. Love New Zealand. I haven't been there, but it's so beautiful. I can't wait to go down. My good friend Jeff is down there. Kelly Bentz, hey, how you doing, Kelly? It's good to see you too. So tonight, what we're going to do. And Kelly Rhodes as well. Sorry, 2018 was a bad year. Hopefully, you can have a better one. There's Troy Light, one of my good friends. So, a few commercials before we start. Axanar Confidential is a presentation of Aries Studios. And Aries Studios is our little studio here in Lawrenceville, Georgia, just on the outskirts of Atlanta. It is where the sets for Axanar are housed. And it is where we are trying to finish that bridge set. It is so close. We'll tell you a little bit about it. And we got a good video coming out, I think tomorrow. Our latest Axanar update that I hope you'll all watch. We worked yesterday. James Simpson got all the Raspberry Pis hooked up. We now work entirely on house power. We don't have to bring in a generator. And all you need to do is go around to the outside and switch on every one of the, I think it's 14 power strips. That's it. So we haven't gotten into a single switch, but turn on all the power strips and the whole bridge lights up. So that's awesome. We're really excited about that. While we're talking about Aries Studios, we have a Patreon campaign, and Stogie, our producer, will put the Patreon URL here in the chat. If you're not a member of the Patreon, we would really appreciate it if you were. Any amount helps. You know, if you can donate $5 a month and we could get 800 people there, we could pay for the studio. But we're releasing exclusive content on the Patreon channel. Right now, the Axicon videos are all going up there. So check it out. Jason Mueller, $9.99 Super Chat. Thank you, Jason. Any relation to Robert Mueller? Thank you very much. And Jason, of course, when you send off a Super Chat, please ask a question, because we want, you're stepping to the front of the line and we want to help you out. So thanks everyone. Zoo Boy's back for $10 a month. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I hope you checked out, we just uploaded a new little video there today. Lee Quisenberry, our webmaster, patch designer, all around great guy. Lee is the one who designed the exclusive Aries Studio patches. Here's the Aries Studio patch. Here's the USS Aries construction crew patch. These are available to people in the Patreon campaign. We haven't told you how yet, so stick with it. Well, we're getting to that. Justin Durko says, this really isn't Trek. Well, actually, it is Trek. Whether it's official Trek is another thing, but yeah, we're Star Trek pretty much. Let's see what you guys are having to say before we jump into designing the USS Aries. Yes, Lee also makes wonderful barbecue sauce. Yeah, that is one of his main businesses. He does a great job. Sean Lane says, "Hey Alec, can you take really photos of bridge? Sobe can set it as a screen." So, listen, the best photo of the bridge is the one we have as our header image on Facebook. I can make that available, or you can just download it off Facebook. That one, I think, is probably your best bet at getting a good screensaver, because it is beautiful. I use it as my header image. It's great. Yes, people have said I look like Steve Carell. It's the nose. There have been times, when I've been compared to others. I once told I looked like Al Pacino. I think I've heard that twice. On especially dapper days, I've twice been told I look like George Clooney. I'm like, ugh, that person needs glasses, but thank you very much. So yeah. John Kraft, $4.99 Super Chat, thank you. Build the store and they will come. Yes, believe me, Stogie is all over that. So yes. Yeah, the Aries, do you have a model or shot you can show? I'm going to show you a bunch of shots about the Aries, okay? And I was going to bring down my model, then I realized I broke it, so I haven't glued it back together yet. It fell off my desk. So So yeah, I'll show you and we'll talk about that. All right, so tonight, the idea about tonight was to tell you guys about the USS Ares and how did we come about the USS Ares. How did the Ares design come to be? And there's a process. There's 3 different people that contributed. It's myself, Sean Toranjo, who also designed the USS Titan. He won that competition that Pocketbooks ran, and Tobias Richter. And it's kind of like one guy has the story, another guy has the script, and another guy does the rewrites, right? And that's kind of where we were. I'm going to go through that process with you guys because there's a lot of cool stuff for you to see, and we've got a little slideshow here, and I'm going to keep uploading some photos, and I'm going to share those photos with you guys because it's there's some cool stuff, and you want to know how it came to be. How did the Ares come to be? Well, I will tell you, and I should have dug it out, but it's somewhere deep in my archives. Is a picture of the starship I drew way back when. It was like in 10th grade, and I drew a picture of a starship, and it wasn't a saucer section type Star Trek ship, but it was definitely inspired by Star Trek, and what it had was it had underslung nacelles, because I thought that was really cool, right? And so the ships in Star Trek that we've seen that I really like, I love the Akira class. I just thought that was just a gorgeous, gorgeous ship, right? It's really aggressive looking, and that's what I like about it, right? Really aggressive. So that was kind of like the starting point. I was like, all right, we're going to have a saucer section, and we're going to have underslung nacelles, and the thing that looks like, if you're a connoisseur like me of starships, and I have all the tech manuals going back to, you name it. I mean, I have my original copy of the Star Trek technical manual, and here. I'm sorry, I was messing with a photo, and you may have lost me. I'm going to give that to you again. That was the USS Centaur, which many of you know, and that was really the main inspiration for the USS Ares. Okay, I always liked the Centaur. Now, we saw that in Deep Space Nine, and the USS Centaur, and here, let me get that image back. Hold on a sec. Okay, the USS Centaur here. Well, let me just... All right. I'll put myself up here so you guys can see. So, the USS Centaur is a kit bash, right? It is literally, they took model kits and put them together and made the USS Centaur. So you have an Excelsior hull, saucer section, right, with Excelsior engines, but underneath here, underneath the saucer section, that's a roll bar from a USS Reliant model, okay? So different scales, first of all. But it's cool, and I like the Centaur. So we saw it in one episode of... it was introduced in an episode of the Deep Space Nine when it was called the USS Centaur, and I just thought it was really cool. I just said, that's kind of where I want my starship to go. So what we did was we took this, and I was looking at other ships. I mentioned the Akira. Akira is a great example, really aggressive looking ship. And I'm gonna start this slideshow up here. And we're going to walk, and we're going to go through it here. All right. So, hopefully all of you can well, let's see if this starts. hold on one second, guys. I've never done a slideshow before, so let's see how this works. Okay. All right, so there we go. And all right, so we start off with the Centaur, right? You already talked about that and what a cool ship that is. I'm going to put myself here in the corner. Here's another ship that I found online. I loved. You know, it's just a mesh that someone made. They call it the Revolution. It's pictured here with the Defiant, and I was like, yeah, baby, that's a badass ship. All right, and then we go on here, and we see another you know model. I actually turned this photo over because I liked it better in this configuration than the one the artist had. But again, underslung nacelles. Now we get to USS Mawson. All right, so this ship was done by John Eves for the Star Trek fan club in Adelaide, Australia. The USS Mawson, part of Starfleet. I love it. You can clearly see the influence here. All right, now we skip into. I approached Sean Torringer and I said, Sean, this is what I want. These are the ideas, and I shipped them off all of those. And I'm going to make a change here. All right, we're going to. I reset that. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get a little longer duration on these images here. And I'm not sure how to scroll through them faster. So I took all these images that you're seeing here, the Centaur, the Revolution, the others, and I sent them all to Sean Torringer. I think I met him online in 2013, and I forgot exactly how I met him. I guess I saw some of his work, and I said, okay, this is where we're going. I love the deflector dish here on the Revolution, right? How it's sunk into to the secondary hull. Really like that. And again, underslung nacelles. Here, it's really just underslung nacelles gives you a really aggressive look to the ship. I mean, the Shenzhou in Star Trek Discovery, same thing, right? That's the best looking ship in that show. So I sent all these to Sean. I said, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this basic combination, saucer section, underslung nacelles, and what we're going to do is we're going to make it into a TOS design, right? So you can see here in the Mawson, I mean, that's obviously a ship that's, Nemesis era, right? And it's a great design. John Eves is so fucking brilliant. I love him. He's also a great guy and a big Axanar fan. I will say he's such a gentleman. So take these designs and let's see what it looks like in a TOS era ship. So this was like the first image that Sean came back to me with, right? So, he took it and he went with it. He's got the saucer. It's a little bulky. The secondary hull was a little bulky, but here's his first shot at it. I'm like, okay, Sean, and what I would do is we'd iterate together, and I'd tell him, okay, and here's another one that he drew. Here's more of a perspective shot, and I said, okay, here's what I want. Okay, and we started making changes, and I would send him I would print out whatever he did, and I'd make notes, and I'd photograph it, and I'd shoot it back to him. And I said, here's what we're looking for. Here's what's different. Okay, here's where I want you to improve. And so he started iterating. Here's another version. This one's got a little bit of the is it the Andor class from FASA? It's kind of bulky. It's kind of wide, right? There's a big section behind that saucer itself. And I wasn't crazy about the nacelles here, right? This was just like, not exactly what I was looking. Oh, wait, actually, this is 2011. Sean drew this, so you can see it was right after we started. Here's a shot from above. Okay, you can see where it's going. It's clearly a progenitor of the Ares. But there were some things I just couldn't, the nacelles were just not the direction I wanted to go. He went reliant on the saucer section, not the direction I wanted to go. Here's his next iteration, right? He's iterating, we're slowly getting there. The details are slowly coming together. It's a little bit of a TMP saucer section, but you know, he's starting to make progress. I thought the struts were a little thin here, right? They weren't beefy enough. We were always talking about you got to be beefy. You got to be, you got to, you know, it's a warship. It's got to be stable and durable, right? So here's one of the things I printed out, and I start throwing my notes on it. Here's what I want, right? And I'm pretty particular about stuff, right? You can see the things that like I didn't like, I put the cut off, right? So he takes that and goes back and he makes another iteration. And this was an interesting iteration because the secondary hull was pretty wide, as you can see from the bottom view. But this is where Sean started doing his little schematic cut type stuff, and it looks great. We actually made a poster. You can also see the Ares is NCC 1450. That was the initial number for the Ares, and then just as we started writing the script and everything, we realized, oh, it's got to be a little different. You know, we need to make that number closer to 1701. Also, I'm going to thank Susanna Chisholm for her $50 super chat. Whew, Susanna, you honor us. Thank you. Susanna's a regular on the Axanar fan group. So here we took that last design, we shipped it off to Tobias Richter. Tobias makes his changes, and you can see his first pass. This is with a little more detail and texturing to it, but he took it and he went with it and he started making changes. And it went through a lot of iterations between him and I, and they were all very, very subtle. But you can see where it goes from a paper design to a real practical 3D model design. And that's kind of where Tobias took it. And so there you go. So that's it. That gets us back to the Centaur. That is kind of the direction we went with the Ares and kind of how we got to where we were. Now there's a whole lot more stuff coming. I want to show you all the other ships in the fleet. But the Ares this was Garth's ship, right? And the thing about Star Trek is our ships are characters, right? Our ships are characters in Star Trek. And the Enterprise is always a character in and of itself. You know, Gene always talked about that. And I think when you look through Star Trek and you look, the ships are always so important. And the ships reflect the series, right? So Next Generation, you know, in Next Generation, well, there are families in space at this point. And so it's a big, you know, the Enterprise D is like a cruise ship. I mean, that's what it's for. Oh, it's exploration, but, you know, it's got families and it's got this and that. So it's very, very different. And then you get to Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We're on a space station, a Cardassian space station. So what do they do in fourth season? I think it is third season. They introduce the Defiant, right? And what's the Defiant? It's small, it's compact, it's a warship. It's meant to fight the Borg, right? So its nacelles are in the hull. And that was great. I love the Defiant because it was so different than any other starship we had seen before, right? So, and then after that, we go to Voyager. And I hated Voyager. I got to be honest with you guys. I just think it's the ugliest spaceship. Like, nacelles are the tiny little nacelles in the back. I don't know. And the big head, it didn't work for me at all. Some of you love it. God bless you. Me, no. I hated it. And then we go to Enterprise. And basically, as some of you call it, the Akira Prize. Because basically, they took the Akira and flipped it upside down and made it. That was the Enterprise NX-01. And really, look at the two. Take the Akira, flip it upside down, and tell me that's not the Enterprise. It is. So as a, you know, I like it. I like the Enterprise. You know, and that was Doug Drexler, who's, you know, a god upon whose altar we all worship. If you don't know Doug, you should. He's amazing. Doug is one of the nicest people in Hollywood. He is a brilliant artist. And I could do a show just on Doug Drexler. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll get Doug on our show. So that's it. So let me just say hi to here. Suzanne Chinley. Hello, USS Ares. thank you so much, Susanna. That's awesome. You're fantastic. Thank you. That's kind of, so when I was designing the Ares early on, it started with find all the sources, all those photos I showed you. I like all of these, and then we need to make it 20 years before the Enterprise. Now, it was great. So Sean was great in helping visualize what I wanted. And then Tobias takes it, and Tobias just takes it to another level, because Tobias Richter's visual effects are amazing. And he loves starships, right? And so this, Axanar was really right up his alley. And so he made the Ares, and, we've got all sorts of videos on our YouTube page. Please go check them out, because they're just really awesome. Excuse me, as I have my tea in my Axanar mug. Crystal, my girlfriend, made me some hot tea because I'm still fighting off the last remnants of the flu. So tea is good for your sore throat. So that's kind of, and let me tell you, I showed it to you previously. I didn't load it today. First time Tobias sent me the first video of the Ares, and I saw my ship flying through space. Wow, that was a religious moment. That was amazing. If you don't know Tobias, you should. He's another person. He's just one of the best, nicest, awesomest people in Star Trek. So anyway, yeah. So that's it. And then Tobias did just so much great stuff, which we're going to keep showing you. I'm going to show more of the Ares next week, along with some of the other ships. But yeah. So Matthew Sweeney says, "Can't wait to see Lord Garth again." You won't see Lord Garth. You'll see Captain Garth. People say that all the time. I always say there's no Lord Garth in Axanar. It's Captain Garth, right? So there you go. That's kind of how we started the Ares. So I want to take questions from you all. Anything you want to talk about Axanar, anything at all, let's chat. I will, we talked a little bit about our Patreon early on, and I will mention again that we're over $1,000 now on the Patreon. As a matter of fact, the last time I checked, it was like $1,050 or something. So it's probably more. Let's go Patreon. Let's go check out Patreon. Let's see what Patreon says. Did you find Ares Studios? It's under Ares Studios. If you go look up, there we are. 1,068 per month. And let me tell you, we are now the second highest Star Trek related Kickstarter Patreon on Patreon. We're rapidly catching up on Trek.fm. So thank you. All these videos are because of you guys. All you patrons who donate to our Patreon campaign on Ares Studios, this is an Ares Studio production. Real Trek and Axanar Confidential are Ares Studios productions. So thank you. You guys are making this happen, and it's awesome for all of us. My producer Stogie, myself, Dana Wagner, another one of our producers, who's been doing a lot of the video work for Ares Studios and for Axanar. All this work, you guys are making it happen. Was the war with the Klingons only space battles, or were there ground battles as well? Okay. So it's a Trap Productions asked that question. That is a great question. Yeah, of course there were land battles. My attitude is we don't see a lot of land battles outside like in the Siege of AAR. What was that, 559 or whatever it was in Deep Space Nine? Just because you tend to think that a starship coming into orbit can really take care of a lot of what's on the ground, right? But yeah, there were land battles. That's not what Axanar is about. We don't tell those stories. But you know what? Wow, I'd love someone to write some stories about that, because I bet there's some great there's some great stuff. So yeah. So good question though. Why did Garth go Section 8? So there was an accident, we're told, and that's all we know. And there was some accident, and in trying to regenerate, and so he was taken to Antos 4, and the Antosians taught him cellular metamorphosis. They taught him how to regenerate his body. Okay, and this is all from Whom Gods Destroy. That process of regenerating your body drove him mad. So that's what we know. Okay. So I don't know the particulars of that, and we can write that story. We actually did a vignette called Heroes for when Garth comes back to the Enterprise after Whom Gods Destroy. So Kirk and the Enterprise take off at the end of Whom Gods Destroy. 6 months later, 3 months later, whatever, they come back to pick Garth up and take him back to Earth. And we did a vignette about that. So, and we're going to finish that vignette, for sure. I can't wait to show you that. Alec Pierce, how many decks are the Ares? Ask Alexander Richardson, Kevin. He's the one building the blueprints for that. So I don't want to speak to that because I really think he knows exactly. Sophisticated Shark, so I noticed with the comics in Prelude, the ships were different. Were all the ships of Cygnus 3 supposed to be Ares class, or were they supposed to be like in the video in different? Yeah, different classes, right? It's always different classes. You don't have the same class of ship all the time. You're going to have, it's just like the Navy. You've got heavy cruisers, you got cruisers, destroyers, scouts, whatever. Justin Davis, can anyone audition? We're going to be talking about that. And we will be handling submissions online. So, yes. So, stay tuned. Forgive my ignorance. The 4 Years' War is episode 3. Have there been episodes 1 and 2? Well, actually, the 4 Years' War is the name of the entire documentary series. Prelude to Axanar is episode 3. We didn't shoot 1 and 2. Literally, it came about by us saying, I was in the editing room with Rob, and I came up with the title. It's the 4 Years' War. It's this documentary series. I said, and this should be episode 4. That way it gives you some scope. And immediately I was like, it can't be episode 4 because that's A New Hope. Let's make it episode 3. So that's why it's episode 3. Now, the next 2 episodes will be episodes 4 and 5. Will we make episodes 1 and 2? Well, we can't by the settlement agreement. Doesn't mean someone else can. So, you want to make some Axanar, I'd love to see it. Which actually I think would be awesome. So I know people who want to make Axanar films, and I'm like, God bless you, go do it, right? Because I think one of the best things we can do is show CBS what we want, right? They don't care, but I think we should tell them anyway. There's a whole bunch of people who aren't happy with Discovery, and we need to make the Star Trek we want to see. For no other reason than we're Star Trek fans, and let's see what we can do together. Let's see, what else? All right. Ramirez said that he had to leapfrog Klingon tech. Why not copy? You always want to be better. You always want to be one step ahead of your enemy. You don't want to copy them. This is, Bruce Lee always said this. If all you do is copy me, you'll never be any better than me. You'll just be a copy. So you're always trying to find what can you do to make yourselves better? It applies to everything. It would be fascinating to see Klingon designs for tanks and deuces. Is this before transporters? No. Whoops. What is the difference between the rapid-fire phasers on the dorsal saucer versus the classic solid-fired ventral phaser? That's a great question. Okay, so, JJ introduced these pulse phasers, we call them, right? And we incorporated them into Axanar because I like crossing the universes. I just think that's cool. So the pulse phasers have one purpose, and the other phasers have another purpose. and we'll talk. You know, I think I'll tell you that I think the pulse phasers, they're meant to be like point defense against torpedoes. That's kind of what they're about, right? But there's lots of other things. Help overload shields, things like that. So, yeah, so there's multiple purposes, and we talk a lot about it in Axanar. What is the difference between Richard Hatch was my hero as Apollo? I miss him so much. So do I, Matthew. He was a dear friend. Let's see. Nice looking ships. There should be a wide array of styles of starships. There are a wide array of styles of starships. So absolutely there are. And next week we're going to be going over all the other designs, so you see what they are. But absolutely, there's a whole fleet. As a matter of fact, we're just adding one now, coming late to the game, and we'll talk about that next week as well. Yes, we're a SAG signatory, new media. Let's see, what do you... Can you give us a 360 virtual tour of the areas in the future? Of the bridge, I assume you mean, Fernando. Yeah, that's a great... that's great. Yeah, we just did a walkthrough of the studio for the Patreon donors. And we'll definitely do one of the bridge. Absolutely, why not? Let's see. Oops, let me... what else you got? Please be kind of comments to Discovery. Yeah, I agree. To each his own. Listen, I watched the season 2 of Discovery, and the second episode is outstanding. It is really, really good. So, yeah. Let's see. If the Discovery has a spore core breach, does that mean everyone in the galaxy becomes allergic? Are there any Star Trek novels that delve into the 4 Years' War or Garth? Yes, there is a Garth novel called Garth of Izar, and you can find it on eBay or wherever. Matthew Wernies, Axanar is an archetype that should be held up to show what a quality TOS era depiction looks like. Thank you very much, Matthew. We appreciate that. We really do. Listen, if you know, I don't know how many of you are joining us for the first time, but as I've said, I say it over and over. I don't hate Discovery. I'm hopeful for season 2 because episode 2 was great. The first season was a mess. I don't particularly like Michael Burnham. I hate the way they change everything around and insert another sibling for Spock. You know, the whole season 1, there was just so many problems, and the production design was horrendous. Everything Klingon sucks. I'm sorry, it sucks. You know, the Federation stuff, whatever. But this Klingon production design was hideous. So, but, you know, to each his own. I watched it. I watched the whole thing. I enjoyed it. Not my favorite Star Trek. Probably my least favorite Star Trek. But, hey, you know, I watched it. If you love it, God bless you. If you don't like it, same thing. God bless. Whatever. You know, free country, do what you want. But, you know, I like talking about Discovery in terms of things I think that were legitimate problems with it. And we've talked about this before. And we can talk about it again. Let's see. What else we got here? My wife asks if there's shuttles in the Ares. Yes, there are. And you see the designs in Prelude. We show there's a flyby. Yeah, that's right. Wrath of Khan had they were kind of pulse phasers, right? Yeah, that's a good point. Alec Peters, wouldn't Axanar be in the vein of the Cage? Ooh, excuse me, including tech. Yeah, you know, the problem with the Cage, which is the best Star Trek pilot episode, and just brilliant. It's brilliant. It's the best of Star Trek. The problem with The Cage is it was really a product of 50s science fiction. I mean, it looks closer to Forbidden Planet than anything else, right? And we have an evolved sensibility of what the future is going to look like. So there's two ways you can go about it. You can do what Discovery did and just say, screw TOS and The Cage. We're just going to reinvent everything. Okay? We're going to redesign everything, and it's going to look nothing like the original series. Okay, that's one way to go about it. That's a reboot in my mind, which I got no problem with. As I've said, I love Star Trek 2009, so reboots are good in my book. Or you can do what we did, which was honor the source material and say, we're going to make some changes, but it's going to look right. It's going to look TOS. You're going to get it and go, oh yeah, that's the Star Trek I remember. So yeah, so that's kind of it. Troy Light says, you mentioned having other fan films shooting on the bridge. How are you able to change up the appearance of the bridge to make it look different, or would you? No, not particularly planning on changing it up that much. There's small things we can do, but and we will see what we do. But yeah, they can use the bridge as it is, and I hope they do. So yes, let's keep going here. Does Axanar still consider the events of Enterprise as precursor? Yes, of course, absolutely. Enterprise is canon. We fit into the canon. It's 82 years after the last episode of Enterprise. So, John Kraft says, is that a space above and beyond uniform behind you? Wildcard. Yep, that is Colonel McQueen's costume. James Morrison. That is, yeah, I got that. I love it. I love Space Above and Beyond. Let's see what else we got. Oscar Castillo says, there are so many great artists out there. Would you ever consider a special donation tiers that would allow them to showcase their work of Axanar future production ships? Yes, absolutely. I mean, we're always trying to get other artists involved in our show all the time of everything. So right now I've got like 4 different storyboard artists working on the script. Totally excited about it. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Desmond Blenio says, wish I had enough talent to write the Marcus Ramirez novel. Who says you don't? And if you don't, get with someone who does. Get with your friends. I think that's a great, I'd love to read that. Frakes is a pretty good director. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. First Contact, I saw it again. It's a great movie. Let's see. Yeah, I like Sybok better than Michael Burnham too. Sybok was a great character. I mean, as bad as Star Trek V was, Sybok, I love Lawrence Luckenbill. He was so good. I mean, it was just, yeah, just that laugh that he had. It was awesome. Totally into it. That English gent, thank you once more. £5 sterling super chat. If Axanar has an immense response from fans, would you consider making models again, or is that definitely off the table now due to legal reasons with CBS? Well, I won't be making models. Okay? So that doesn't prevent someone else from doing it. But I'm not doing it. I'm trying to live by the spirit and the letter of the settlement agreement, right? So there you go. But thanks, English gent. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it, man. Let's see. I'm a non-fan of anything and everything. I will never disparage fans for liking what they like. Yeah, listen, I don't take umbrage with fans who like Discovery. God bless you. Right? Infinite diversity in infinite combinations is what Gene said. So it may not be my cup of tea or your cup of tea, but it could be someone else's, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Speaking of tea. Lee Quisenberry says, Alec, no love Voyager. Well, I am going to say something controversial. DS9 is my least favorite. Lee, you're fired. Okay, so I like Voyager, the show. I just hate the shit. And how can Deep Space Nine be your least favorite Star Trek? Really, Lee? We're going to have a talk. Yeah, here's the thing. Listen, you want to talk Discovery, what you like and you don't like? Great. Let's talk about that. Right? There's really interesting conversations. We talk about that on Real Trek, our other show that's on Friday nights. God bless. Go for it. Let's talk about what you do and don't like about Discovery. But let's, God, stay away from the meta bullshit that some of you people are talking about. Like, oh, it's social justice warriors making white men look bad. What? Where does that shit come from? Oh, God. I mean, you know, can we keep that shit out of Star Trek? Let's judge Star Trek based on Star Trek principles. Is it good Star Trek? Right? Oh, God. And yeah, I have friends who love Discovery. Great. I have most of my friends I think are kind of in the middle, like, well, yeah, and we talk about it. But I'm not a hater. Let's see. Ooh. Hold on. I'm looking. Before I get to the... Idik is not human. What? Idik is very human, I think. I mean, it's a Vulcan phrase, but it really... It speaks to what Gene was trying to convey to us. Right? Tolerance. I'm curious. Why does Spore Drive need a pizza cutter? Robert Suarez, $10 super chat. Thank you, Robert. Roberto. Excuse me, Roberto. Discovery would work better as a post-Voyager show. I agree 100%. Enough with the Spock shit. You know, put it post-Voyager and then you can say it's canon. It's prime timeline, and we believe you. Cleon's become xenophobic after destruction of Romulus, and Michael would work better as Ambassador Tuvok's daughter. Bingo! Love it, Roberto. That's great comment. I don't disagree. I really didn't like the acting in Discovery. I really had no problems with the acting in Discovery. Separate acting from characters, right? There were story issues. There were character development issues I had. But not acting. I think the actors were really, really wonderful. Really wonderful. Kelvin Timeline is not canon. Well, Kelvin Timeline is canon. It's just not prime timeline. Kelvin Timeline veers off from the prime timeline. Alternate universe, we know it. I got no problem with any of that. That is what Discovery should have done. But they didn't. And that pisses me off. So when I say that I didn't think the producers necessarily respected fans with the way they handled Discovery, that's what I'm talking about. Just say it's prime time. It's not prime timeline. It's an alternate universe, just like JJ did, thanks to Robert Orsi in Star Trek 2009. They told us it was an alternate timeline. We're cool. We cool. Charles Williamson says he loves the patches and the mug. XR swag is the best. Thank you. I think so too. Twilight Deep Space Nine was great for its courage to get its proverbial hands dirty and show that not everything is black and white, clean and sparkly. I agree. Yep, absolutely. Okay, Idik is life. Mark Woods, I don't like Michael Burnham as answers for everything. The jump to warp to scan for the red beacons to knowing about all the Earth's religions, that bothered me about the... Yeah, I know. She's a bit of a Mary Sue. Yeah, great actress, but character's not doing it for me. People saying Gene would be rolling in his grave if he saw Discovery. No, he would be rolling if he saw the vile shit that's spreading in the community. Yeah, and you know, Zeph Films has it right there. you know, I'm disappointed by Star Trek fans. Of course, listen, I'm a 58-year-old Star Trek fan. I've been a Star Trek fan longer than any of you probably. That doesn't make me better. It just means I've seen a lot. And over the last 10 years, because of the internet, basically we've become a group of entitled schmucks at times. Fans think they're entitled to impose their opinions in a forceful and disrespectful way upon others. Listen, I mean, we talk about it all the time. We've got haters in Axanar. I've got a couple cyber stalkers. It's like, and you just want to say to them, do you understand what Star Trek is about? You call yourselves Star Trek fans, but you're assholes. And I think that's really the crux of it. Can we not just be nice to each other? We don't have to be rude, overbearing assholes when you disagree with someone, right? I tend to think that, like, the disagreement, like, which is the best Star Trek? Who's the best captain? Those are all fun conversations that you can have that, at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything because your life's not going to change, all right? It's enjoyment. It's entertainment. It's a passion. We need to keep perspective, people. And, I mean, this is what Gene would be rolling in his grave if he saw the nonsense coming from the hatred side of Star Trek fans. Those are not the people he wants. He wants as Star Trek fans. You know, he believed in IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. That means everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone has certain inalienable human rights. Just, geez, we need to start treating people with respect. I mean, the geek, outrage is just becoming intolerable. And this is why a lot of people are leaving fandoms, because they're sick of the bullshit. And we shouldn't be that way in Star Trek. Yeah. Will you be appearing as Garth in parts 4 and 5? Yes. And if others make Axanar films, can you appear in them? Yes. Thank you. I do a voiceover as Garth in one of Vance Major Owen's films. I'm very proud of that. Thank you, Vance. And I do and of course Garth appeared. One of the next episodes we'll be talking about the origins of Axanar, and I'll be showing you a clip from that. Star Trek is about peaceful exploration and learning who to work with others and self-learning. Yeah, that doesn't mean there's not conflict in Star Trek. There were wars in Star Trek, and it's not about war. It's about how you as human beings deal with it. IDIC is the antithesis of Starfleet. IDIC is the UFP. Starfleet is the Vanguard. Trek is Starfleet. Okay. Interesting take. Let's see what else. Yeah, people. I just, like, in general, like chill out with the hate. It doesn't do anyone any good, right? Hatred's, unless it's something really important to people's lives, hating on Star Trek or DC versus Marvel or whatever, it's just, we need to chill. Yeah, here's Silver Bullet says, I had a great conversation with Star Trek fan over Cybok and Burnham. We ended up agreeing on some points and not on others, but it was a good conversation. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the way it should be. Klingons did not have cloaking tech before Romulan. It's in canon. Yes, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Will Garth of Izar be wearing the bluish gray with lines uniform in part 4 and 5? You mean that one back there? No, but he does wear that in Heroes, the vignette. Hatred's overrated too. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't do you any good. Thank you, Silver Bullet. Yes. So, questions. We got a lot of comments, but feed your question this way. Yeah, listen, folks. First of all, the internet gives you a false sense of the value of your own opinion, right? And let's use this as an example. I mean, I get to talk to 200 people about Axanar. The fact that I'm on here talking to you about Star Trek, about Axanar, it doesn't mean my opinion of Star Trek Discovery is any more valuable than yours. Just means I'm happy to be broadcasting it. I think we should always respect other people's rights to believe what they want to believe, and sometimes that belief is born out of ignorance or ignores facts or whatever, okay. I mean, I think this is kind of an analog for what's happening in our country, but we shouldn't lose the civility, right? Especially among Star Trek fans, because we have so much in common, right? You should be able to walk up to any Star Trek fan at any convention and start talking about Star Trek, right? We all love the same thing. At Alec Peters, besides Axanar, is there a dream Trek project you would like to explore, maybe in the Star Trek world you created? There's actually two Star Trek. One's not a Star Trek project, although it's in that vein. And the other is a Star Trek project. And and once we're done with Axanar, we will be talking about and working on both of those. So we'll see. But thanks. Great question. Yeah, I mean, I love Star Trek. I don't want to be making Star Trek fan films the rest of my life. This is, maybe for me, maybe help out other people here and there, but this Axanar will be it. Eric Melson says, is there any shot that Paramount may pick up Axanar if presented? No, there's no shot. Right now there's so much ego wrapped up in those two corporations. They could never, I mean, listen, we were in the middle of a lawsuit. They couldn't admit that we had done something right. We had done Star Trek that they said was too good to be allowed to continue. That's what they told us. And as I've told you before, I mean, literally, I asked the general counsel on the other side of the table why. I mean, Star Trek Continues and Star Trek New Voyages replicated Star Trek, the original series, exactly. They used the music, they used the costumes, they used the ships, they used the characters. They looked like it. Look, I said to him, so why didn't you sue them for copyright infringement? Why are you suing us? We don't even call ourselves Star Trek out of respect. And he said, because no one's going to confuse them for real Star Trek. The implication being that people would confuse us for real Star Trek. And John Van Sitters later said that when they saw the Vulcan scene, they knew they had to take action against us because it was too good. So we wish that action had been, hey guys, you guys really are doing great stuff. Come work with us. Let's figure out how we can put Axanar on, maybe we put Axanar on StarTrek.com and give it away to all our fans. That's what they should have done. It would have made them heroes in Hollywood. Just like, look at the relationship Lucasfilm enjoys with its fans because of the way they treat their fan films. But CBS didn't do that. And they got 13 months of bad publicity because of it, suing their fans. Their director and their producer of Star Trek Beyond both came out and said, why are you suing your fans? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But what you see now is, and I can speak more CBS than Paramount because Paramount's turned over a lot of people, is they can't let go of it. They can't let go of their displeasure that Axanar, I mean, they basically, I would assume, I don't know because I haven't, it feels like CBS blames us for the 13 months of bad press they got. Like they blame us for them having to sue us. Where, and people have said to me, Alec, would you have sold Axanar to CBS? And I said, as I always say, I sold it. We offered to give it to them for free. We said, let us make it and we'll give it to you. That was communicated directly to the general counsel of CBS by one of his friends. And he couldn't believe that we made that offer. He was like, they'd give it to us for free? And our guy was like, yes, they will give it to you. They just want to make Star Trek. So this is why. Listen, talk about the idiots on the internet. Every time I hear some idiot who doesn't know what the frack he's talking about saying, oh, you guys were trying to make money off of Star Trek. No, we weren't, knucklehead. If you read anything, and that's the thing, these people, they don't read. They just hear something on the internet and they regurgitate it. And it's like, and that makes you look like an idiot when you do that, right? And I hear that, oh, you tried to make money off of Star Trek. No, we didn't, really, we didn't. Well, you built a studio. Yeah, because it was cheaper to build a studio than it was to rent a studio and build the sets in it. I mean, we did the math, right? I wish we had rented the studio I wanted, which was $2,500 a month, that my director Christian Gossett vetoed because it wasn't nice enough. That would have solved a lot of our problems. But we made it because we wanted to make great Star Trek. We had this dream about making great Star Trek. That's what it's about. It ain't about anything else, And so the fact that CBS is still, whatever, wants to hold a grudge against us. I mean, I've written twice now to John Van Citters. No reply. And I like John. He's a nice guy, super nice guy. They elevated him to brand manager for Star Trek. Someone asked me about Carlos Pedraza, one of my cyber stalkers. He's an idiot, and I'm sorry. He came out with another blog. Here's a guy who's claims he's a journalist, who's basically a blogger who's never written a nice thing about Axanar. For 3 years, he's written negative stuff about Axanar, and never once written anything nice about us. So we ignore him. I tell you that in our community, today he came out with a blog where he just like poo-pooed our Patreon and how it's, this is the guy that says we're getting evicted. Oh, I don't have time for knuckleheads, really. I don't. And those stalkers just are pathetic, and they need to get a life. They really do. So so I don't think about them that much, and I roll my eyes a lot when I hear their names. What is the status of the Enterprise 1701 at the time of Axanar episodes 4 and 5? Wow, it's being built. Yep, it's being built. That's about all I want to tell you. Because if I tell you more, it kind of gives it away. It was interesting. You want the Enterprise to play, but you don't want the Enterprise to be important. Right? That's kind of, I'm going to leave it at that. And we never say the Enterprise is being built at Axanar. Just go back and listen. All those, it was built in San Francisco. It wasn't built in Axanar. I never said it was built in Axanar. Go back and listen again. You're wrong. Let's see. What else do we got? We are not recasting Richard Hatch as Karn. We have some interesting things we're doing there. But we're not recasting. Is there any way that we can put pressure on CBS and Paramount to change their minds about fan films so we, the fans, can do that? Yeah, write CBS and Paramount. Tell them you love Axanar. Tell them that we're knuckleheads to sue us. That's what you can do. What's the stat? Let's see what else you got here. Lee Sully, another $5 super chat. Lee is one of our favorites. How the hell are you, Lee? It's good to see you again. And Lee said, hold on, I'm trying to catch up behind Lee. Alec, if we were able to try to add to the Axanar universe with more ships and stuff, but on our own, is that all right? Well, okay, so there's a great question. And people ask me this. So the way I approach it is, look, anyone can write whatever they want. You want to do fan fiction? Go ahead. Knock yourselves out and write fan fiction. Honored. We are honored that people want to write fan fiction of Axanar, right? Comics and whatever. It's awesome. It's which is what CBS didn't get, is it's homage. It's a tribute. So thank you. Yeah. So you can add to the universe all you want, but if you want to add to the canon, if you want us to embrace it and say, oh yeah, this is canon in the Axaverse, then I'm like, well, talk to me. Let's see. You know, Jonathan Lane wrote a short story, a very short story. It was really like a script. And he illustrated it. It's called Why We Fight. And he wrote it, and he asked my opinion, and I said, you know, if you change this, this, and this, I would consider that canon. And he changed those things. Consider that canon in the Axaverse. So there you go. Lee Sully. Let's get back to my boy Lee. Maybe we should mail this guy en masse at CBS to let him know how much we good fans want good Star Trek. The only thing I will tell you is that he also made some comment about not wanting to be blackmailed by fans. So, you know, listen, I like John Van Citters. Good guy, great Star Trek fan, been there forever. But I think he's just, you know, unfortunately, he's holding a grudge against Axanar. It's a shame. Considering especially how many times I went to them for guidelines in the years before they sued us, and how much work I did for them. I mean, it's just like, you don't treat people like that. Let's see what else you got. So once Axanar is complete, are you allowed to do other Star Trek fan films? Yes, I would be, but I'll be moving on from fan films at that point. I'll let you all take care of that. How much different is the Ares verse versus the Axanar verse? Not sure I understand. Because the Ares is the ship of Garth in the Axaverse. So, yeah, I don't know what that means. But ask again, okay? Ask again. I wonder how long those extra ships like the Komarov were in service. Were they early 23rd century mainstays? You know, we talked about this, and we'll talk about this more. I think those ships were probably ships that were created at the beginning of the war. That's kind of where I think they were first generation of ships built more for the war than right, because you know we're in the third year of the war, and there were ships. Starfleet was producing ships, not just using the ships they had. So we'll get into that when we talk about the fleet. Given the 15 minutes is the limit, how many films will you do? We will be doing 2. Not sure if anyone asked, what are your thoughts on fan crossovers of Star Trek with other sci-fi series like Babylon 5, Battlestar, Star Galactica, etc.? They're cute, right? In general, I hate crossovers from different universes. I hate them because they just don't make sense, right? Yeah. How's the actors' morale for the project after the suit? Great. We had J.G. Hertzler and Gary Graham in for Axicon in November, and you'll see those videos and see how excited they are. What's next after Axanar? I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you or vaporize you. You have big names that support Axanar. Are you considering having them as guests to give their points of view? Yes. Yes, I will. Will you don the Garth costume behind you for this film? No, I won't. but I have for the Heroes vignette, which I described a little bit earlier. So you will get to see me in that costume. It does fit perfectly. It's you know, it's really, when we shot up there, it was really, I don't know, it was really magical to wear that costume. There was a point where we were taking this one shot where Garth and Kirk and Spock and McCoy walk out of the transporter room when Garth arrives on the Enterprise. And wow, it was weird. It was like, it was somewhat magical, somewhat emotional, because I just felt like I was channeling Steve Inat. I mean, it's kind of weird, but I just felt like, it just felt like the last scene in Whom Gods Destroy. It was really weird, and it was really cool, you know. And when I got to meet with Steve's widow, Sally, who came to Axanar and blessed us with her presence, along with Linda Alexander, who wrote the book on Steve Inat. Sally said that we were talking about it, and she saw the costume, and she said to me, she said, you know, Steve's DNA is in that costume. She said, and your DNA is in it now, and they've mixed together. And she said she knew about us, and she knew about what we were doing. She had caught up on us when Linda told her, and she was really, you know, complimentary about what we were doing, and she thought Steve would approve because he was a filmmaker, not just an actor. So very emotional. That costume, it means a lot to me. It really does. So yeah, thank you for asking about that. Wow, I'm getting behind here. God, I love you guys. You guys could talk forever. Alec Peters, what is the general underlying message of Axanar to you? You know, I think the general underlying message of Axanar is, wow. I mean, you could be like overly dramatic and say it's like the triumph of the human spirit. It's really, I think Ramirez says this in Prelude to Axanar, doing what must be done without losing the dream of the Federation, right? So it's how do these people, how do they succeed and maintain what it means to be the United Federation of Planets? And for each one of them, that means something to each one of them, right? How do they maintain that? Yeah, I think that's what it's about. It's really, listen, it's not a war story. It's a personal story about how do these people react to what this event that they're thrown into, right? That's what it's about. Is there any footage of Richard Hatch that we have yet to see? Oh, yes, there is. What do you think about the creation of game mods based on Axanar? Love it. Love it. I know there's one game that's modded to be an Axanar version. It's amazing. So yeah. Hey Alec, Tony. So Tony, no last name, $25 super chat. Hey Alex, love Axanar. I've seen it over 20 times. God bless you. That's awesome. Can't wait for the follow-up films. Thanks, man, for all you do for Trekkies. Tony Booch from Bristol, Connecticut, home of ESPN. I know it well, Tony. I'm from Westchester County, New York. So thanks so much. We appreciate that. Let's see. What else we got? Of course, I'm going to wrap it up if you guys... Alec, you look good for a guy pushing 60. Thank you. I try. Fortunately, I've got good Greek genetics. I've stayed in relatively good shape, and I don't eat a lot of red meat. So, or drink a lot, and I don't smoke and do drugs. So, I try and avoid all those vices. Like sugar's my vice. Give me a good piece of cake, and I'm golden. Yeah, a couple of you mentioned Gary Graham, who's a great actor. Dude, matter of fact, like 3 weeks ago, I wrote Gary an email because I watched Prelude to Axanar again. And I watched it, and Gary blew me away. It was just mind-boggling to watch him again. And it was almost like I was watching it for the first time. And maybe it's because I've seen it so many times, I'm really able to really pay attention to not the words so much, but the performance. And I wrote Gary, and I said, Gary, I got to tell you, you are amazing in Prelude to Axanar. And he appreciated it. He wrote back and appreciated it. He's so damn good in it. It's amazing. I mean, listen, they all are, right? I think the way to watch Prelude is go and watch it and focus on one actor. And every one of them, except the guy that looks like me, every one of those professional actors just is amazing. They really are amazing. It was wonderful to be on set. It really was. Will the 2 episodes be available for purchase at a later date? They will be on YouTube. If you haven't already bought the Blu-ray. Will Ares versus Starfleet be wearing the Garth of Izar from God? So I'm not sure I understand, Captain Jesse. Explain a little more. Let's see. Would you do a cameo as Admiral Garth in a parallel universe Trek fan film? Kelly. In a heartbeat. Absolutely. I would listen. I support fan films, and Vance Major Owen is coming to do one this June at our studio, and yeah, I'm always supporting fan films. Dorflam, one of our regulars, $5, £5 super chat. Thank you very much, Dorflam. It's late over there. What do you think happened to the Ares after the war? Also, Voyager is a beautiful ship. So. What happened to Ares after the war? I think it went to the Starfleet Museum. That's what I think happened to it. They retired it. And I think most of the Ares, I think the Ares class ships probably went to border patrol duty because they weren't built for exploration. But what would they be good at? They'd probably be good at border patrol, right? That's kind of where I think they wound up. So yeah. That's my thought. So, Dorflam, thanks so much. As always, you're awesome. Was it the mix of various races of Federation technology focused in a wartime atmosphere that made the Ares superior to the D6? Yeah, I think that's the point, right? We had a whole bunch of worlds working on our ship. Main Blag Banner. Hey, Alec, you say us viewers could talk forever. Yeah, I feel as though you ought to set up a Discord server to talk about Axanar and more Trek things. Trek Yards has a server. You should too. I do have a server. Right now, we've got one going for the Patreon donors. So I will consider doing a general one as well. Absolutely. Or you could donate to the Patreon campaign. Axanar is restoring Star Trek, doing what must be done to have proper Star Trek without compromised. Being compromised. Okay, thank you. Any thoughts for the new Picard series set post Voyager? None. I haven't even thought about it. I hope it's good. That's what I say. I just hope it's good. Like Patrick Stewart, he deserves good Star Trek. What did Garth say? We are explorers first. Yes, he did say that. Whoops. Wow, you guys are on fire. I'm losing my spot here. Also, you put a lot of attention to details. That's what makes Axanar a masterpiece. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, you have to. You have to put the details in. It's absolutely critical. We know Star Trek. We love Star Trek. We're going to get the details right. That's so important to us. All right. Is Kate Vernon still part of the cast of Axanar? We hope so. She's indicated she wants to read the script and then make a decision, but the script's so damn good, I'm sure she's going to be excited about it. Where do you find info on Axanar events, such as where and when they will take place? Our website, axanar.com. Oh, God, you guys are overwhelming me. Okay, I got some super chats, and then we're going to call it a night, guys. I am going to play Garth. I like you as the character. You're a better fit than Vic, 60, playing a 30-year-old Kirk. Yeah, well, exactly, Kevin. Look, I got no problem with, being... I have no problem being 58. It's nice to know that people think I look younger than I am. But I'm not trying to be a 35-year-old Captain Kirk. So, yeah. Great work, Mr. Peters. If you get a chance, listen to Starship Excelsior's 50th anniversary podcast. Oh, I lost my place. I hear it's great. I hear Excelsior is great. A great little audio drama. So I will definitely check it out. Let's see. Okay. We could go on forever, but it is almost 10:30, and I do want to wrap this up because you guys are awesome, and we're going to be back again, and I want to just keep running over the same things. Last question was Savalas Enduring Acquaintance Commander Strand. Of course it was. Of course it was. Ali, do you have any plans for sets after the production? We want to make sure we keep this bridge set going for others to use forever. And then maybe we'll burn it in a Viking funeral when I die. So let's call it a night. You guys have been awesome. I hope you enjoyed the little talk about. Oh wait, do I have a? Let's make sure. Yeah. Okay. I guess I got all the super chats. Let's make sure. You guys ask if you have any questions. Please feel free to send to me. What's this Hail Doomcock? You guys are so funny. Someone needs to put me in touch with that guy because I hear he's an Axanar fan, and that's awesome. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for paying attention. I love doing this because, it's in a way it's a way to give back to you guys. You guys are hungry for Axanar. I want to give it to you, and I just like we will do the Discord thing, but we'll figure that out. In the meantime, here's the prop of the day. Last thing, Klingon pad from Deep Space Nine. Yep, I got this at auction, so yeah, I'm really excited about that. Part of my collection. At some point, I'm going to show you guys all my collection. But that's it for now. Everyone, please drive safely when you're driving. Don't text and drive. A lot of times people will be texting me. I'm like, driving. Trey McElwain keeps me on the straight and narrow. He doesn't let me. He admonishes me anytime he texts me and I'm driving. Yep. Hey, Kevin Rose is saying, please shout to neurotic Gary Begler. Yes, I just sent him a message today. Said I want to have him on. All I got back was a thumbs up from Gary. So you guys talk to Gary and tell him he needs to come on our show because I really like his show. Thanks from Australia. Cram, wow. Thank you. God, live long and prosper down in Australia. Thank you, everyone. Let's all have a good night. And do me a favor. Kiss your loved ones. Tell your friends that you care about them. And be excellent to each other, okay?